thing. Okay, so we are going to start with sports trading. Like I said, RoyalQ is designed to help us trade both this in the sports market and also trade the futures market. So trade settings for sports. So that is what we want to. Before you start trading in the sports market, first, the most important thing is your capital. How much do you want to use to trade a particular coin? That is what you should consider first, your capital. How much are you using to trade the particular coin? Is it $50? Is it $100? Now you now have to go to trade settings. Trade settings. Remember, you trading on the spot, you are buying the assets. You are owning the assets. Remember, spot value, the value of that coin can go down. So when it goes down, you have to buy. That is when the robot will need USDT to buy more quantity of that trade, that coin. As the value is reducing, the robot will need USDT to buy. That is why if you are trading on the spot, you are advised to start with maybe 10%, 15% of your capital. So if your capital is $100, you can use 10 to start as your first buy or 15 to start as your first buy. Then you will now set up the remaining money for your robot to use to buy the margin calls. Okay, so first things first, you have to go to the mine page. This place they wrote my strategy settings. This place they wrote my strategy settings. You have to click on this. If you are a new member, you see add now. But if you have some settings, you click on the cross at the top right. So this is where you give instructions to the robot. How do you want your robot to trade the coin? This is how do you want your robot to manage your capital? This is where you are going to set it. So we will be giving you signals, trade this coin because of the entry price is okay. You will see signal trade this. Nobody will tell you how to arrange your capital because nobody knows your capital. They just see, this signal, Bitcoin is about to increase. Okay, enter it. You now, you must have set up your trade capital for your trade settings, inside your trade settings. So that anytime you see the signal, all you have to do is to call the save settings and apply it on the signal and tell the robot to start so that your robot will see a trade settings to work with. Now, because the signal might come take 2%. And now, before the robot comes gives you 2%, before that coin increased by 2%, maybe it has dipped by 10%. It has reduced by 10% first. So you start at 0. Maybe the coin should give you your 2% at 2, but the coin has reduced by -10. So what will your robot be doing that period that the coin was reducing in value? It cannot sell and give you profit because you said the robot should sell at 2. So what the robot will be doing from that 0 to -10, that is what we want to discuss today. The trade settings. What will the robot do if it goes down? Normally, once you start the trade and the coin goes up, what the robot will do, it will just sell and give you profit on your first buy amount, the initial amount you use in starting the trade. That is why if you are joining us for today, it's not advisable that your capital is 100. You will now put first buying amount 100 when you are trading spots. because the value of that coin definitely most time will go down. And when it goes down, you need money to buy the margin calls. That is to buy more quantity of that coin at a cheaper price. So the first things first is to come to this place. The first things first is to come to your trade settings. As in your mind, from your mind, you go to my strategy settings and you create a trade setting depending on your capital. So person might say, I want to start with $100 capital. So you can say spot $100. So you know that when you want to start a trade, you know that you are coming for spot. If a spot signal, spot $100. So let's say, for instance, the first buy, we are starting with $15. We want the robot to use $15 to start the trade out of our $100. Okay? So the next thing you will see there, the remarks is what we put. The risk type, you can just leave it steady. Just leave it. Remarks, you put the title. So spot $100 is a spot signal. You want to set up this trade settings for a spot signal, and your capital is $100 you want to use to trade each of the signal. Your first buy-in amount is the amount of USDT the robot will use to come buy that coin immediately you start the trade. So it will now keep the remaining $85 in your exchange, your Binance, Bybit, and the rest. Next thing is enable opening double. Please, if it's on, you off it. If you on it, it means that the robot should use 15 times 2, that is double of 15, to buy the first buy amount. So you have to off it because you want to arrange your capital yourself. So you want the robot to use 15 and the remaining 85, the robot should use it for your margin calls. Please, if you are following, let me see you write 1 on the chat. If you are following, let me see you write 1 on the chat, please. If you are following, let me see you write 1 on the chat. Okay? Okay. So, the remaining 85 now, we want to tell the robot, this is how you are going to arrange it for me. You understand? Okay? We can say we want the robot to, because maybe this signal that we are dropping is well arranged, well calculated. Okay? So definitely most times, maybe let's say 60%, once you enter the signals, they will just sell. They might not need to, the coin might not go down so that your robot will buy margin calls. So you might be seeing that your take profit, the signal might come with 1.3, 1.5, 2%, and the rest. You see that it might only be working on your first buy amount, which is 2% on 2% of $15. So you might say, my capital is small, my profit is small. But remember, the robot is not trading with at once. You did not set your robot to buy with the $100 immediately. So your first buy is 15. The remaining 85, you might say, okay, I want to use the first margin. Before we even go to margin, you have to draft how you want the remaining 85, the robot should use it. Okay, so I want to consider the first 3 margins to be 15, 15, 15. Since my first buying amount is 15, I want my first 3 margin to be 15, 15, 15. So 15, 15, 15 is 15 times 3, which is 45. 45 plus 15 will give you 60. 60 minus 100 is remaining 40. So let's say the remaining margins, let's do it 10, 10, 10, 10. So 10 will go into 40 4 times. So total, the margin call limit here will be 7. We have divided the $85, the remaining $85 into 7 calls. So if the trade falls to the first call, the first margin call, you are telling the robot to use $15 to buy the first one. If it falls to the second, you are telling the robot to use the second $15 to buy the second. If it falls the third, the third margin call, you're telling the robot to use another $15 to buy the third. If it falls the fourth one, you're telling the robot to use $10 now to buy. So you see, 15, 15, 15 will give us 45. 10, 10, 10 into 4 will give us 40. 45, 40 is 85, plus our first buy amount, 15, which is the total of 100. Okay? So that is I hope we understand. I hope you're following. Anyone you don't follow, as I'm saying, just write it on the chat. I will come back to it when I'm done. Okay. The next one is the whole position take profit ratio. That is where you put your take profit. Any signal that comes, the default is 1.3. Any signal that comes will come with the take profit. Some you see 1.5, some you see 1%, some you see 2%. So anywhere you can just leave it as the default here. Your whole position fit callback. We have explained callback. Callback is a function that was added to trade settings that helps the robot to buy at the best price and to sell at the best price, at the best price. You understand? The callback function helps the robot to buy when you want to start the trade or buy your margin calls. It helps the robot to buy that is, we have the buying callback to buy at the best price, and the whole position take profit callback is to sell at the best price. So it means that once you sell, in this example now, your take profit ratio is 1.3%. It means that once you start the trade and the trades increase in value of 1.3, the robot should give you profit. When the trade starts and the coin increase, the price of the coin increase to 1.3%, the robot will just trigger a sell, but it will not sell. It will wait for a drop of 0.3. You know why it's waiting? It's waiting to see if the coin will increase more than that 1.3. It will make sure that, okay, this coin is no more increasing again. After it gets to that 1.3, it will now make sure that this coin is not increasing again. So it will be observing to see if the coin will move from 1.3, maybe enter 1.5 or enter 2 points. You understand? So it will be looking if the coin will move from 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 2 points. So the callback function will help to secure more profits for you. It will only sell when there's a drop of 0.3. So you can either make this one 0.1, 0.2, or the default 0.3. So it means that once this coin increases to 1.3, it will only sell when the coin drops to 0.3. So you will see that it will now give you 1% profit. But if this coin, after getting to 1.3, increase to 1.5, increase to 2, and before it start dropping by 0.3, you see the robot will now sell. It will sell it at 1.7. So you see, the robot is selling it at the best, highest price. But if you reduce your callback by 0.1, it means that once it gets to 1.3 and it drops by 1.2, the robot will sell and give you 1.2 as profit. But it will not be bad that if the coin now drops to 0.1 and shoot up to 10, you see, the robot will give you 1.2 profit. Someone that is using 0.3 will get that 9.7% profit, while you will get 1.2 profit. So you see the importance, the difference from 0.1 to 0.3. So it's depending on you. You can use anyone. You understand? You that is using 0.3 and someone that is using 0.1 is depending on the movement of the coin. If this coin moves to 1.3 and drops immediately, you that use 0.1, you will make more profits than someone that is using 0.3. You understand? I hope you understand. Okay? So the next thing is margin configuration. Before I enter there, let me just talk about the buy-in callback. Buy-in callback is also is just the same thing like the take profit callback. Buying callback is when the robot wants to buy. It must make sure that the coin has reached a best price. The coin is not dropping any down, it's not going deep, because it's the robot will buy. The robot should buy at a best reduced price for you. When you want to buy rice, you'll be looking for the cheapest in the market. That is what the robot is doing. It will make sure that this coin has gone down to the last and it has started coming up. It's not going down again. So if here is 0.5, it will must wait. Let there be a 0.5 increase before it will not buy. If you put 0.3, it will wait, let there be an increase of 0.3 before it will buy. So that is the meaning of buying callback. Okay. Okay, so we have the distributed and take profit allocation. This is where I don't know if the definition of RoyalQ, the continuation is that it helps us to make profits even when coins are going down. So this is where we state the profit, because from your margin 5, from your fifth margin and above, the robot sells it individually. You understand? Now we are using seven margin. You see that margin 5, margin 6, and margin 7. The robot, after the robot buys the margin 5, margin 6, margin 7, if the trade starts increasing, the robot will sell margin 7 independent. It will give you, let's say for this example now, it will give you 1.3% off $10. Remember, we use $10 for margin 4, margin 5, margin 6, and margin 7, $10. So you see, while you are waiting for this coin to recover fully, the robot will give you, once it has bought all your margins and the coin starts increasing back, it will give you 1.3% on your $10 for margin 7. You get the profit immediately, real-time settlement. When it sells the margin 6, it will give you 1.3% of the another $10. You get the profit separate. When it sells the margin 5, it will give you 1.3. So you can also change here, you can edit here anyone you want. You understand? This is where you can set up your take profits, your individual take profit from your margin 5 and above. Okay, so we have the strategy period, the strategy period, sorry, that is either cycle or one shot. So it's either you're using cycle or you're using one shot. One shot means enter this. Most of the signal you'll be seeing is one shot. It means enter. Once you enter and take profits, you're telling the robot, stop trading that coin for me. Just enter it, do it once and stop. Why, if you're using cycle, it means once you buy and sell, enter it again. Once you buy and sell, enter it again. But sometimes you find out that if those using cycle, you find out that indicators were not added. So tomorrow class, we'll be talking about indicators that will help, because if you are using cycle, you need those indicators so that your robot, because the normal cycle, the default of cycle is that once the robot buys and sell, it will buy low and sell high. Immediately it sell high, it will buy at that high price again to sell at another higher price. So now the indicator is saying that once you buy and sell, wait for the coin to drop down again before you start another cycle. That is the indicator. We'll be learning it tomorrow. That indicator, it will help you it will help your robot to always buy at a more reduced price instead of the normal cycle, buy sell, and the price you'll be buying at a higher prices. So that is that. We'll learn about the indicators tomorrow. So now I've explained everything on this page. So the only one that is left is the margin configuration. So this is the page. We just use math to highlight. We want the robot to buy our first margin with $15, second margin with $15, third margin with $15. Then the fourth margin, you should use 10, fifth margin, you should use 10, sixth margin, you should use 10, seventh margin, you should use 10. So this is the multiple buy-in ratio, the right-hand side, where you see times. That is where you will set it. This margin configuration is the backbone of RoyalQ. You can't be doing, if you don't know what margin configuration is, then it's as good as you just wasting your time paying the 120 for the robot. This is the backbone. Once you understand this page, you are free to start RoyalQ and you will do well in RoyalQ in trading the artificial intelligence, trading crypto using the robots. This is the backbone. This is the backbone. Okay, so our first buy, and it works with first buy. You can see everything has times. So anything you put inside, if you put 1, it will be times the first buy. Anything you put times the first buy. Once the robot times it with the first buy, that is the USDT. That is the amount of USDT your robot will go and use in your Binance. I hope we are understanding. Anything you put here, the robot will, like example now, this first call is 2 times first buy, which is 15. Your robot will go and use $30. But no, that is not what we calculated. We calculated 15 for first buy. Now we'll do 15 divided by our 15. So nothing like to do again. 15 divided by 15 will give us 1. So we want the robot to use $15 to buy the first margin. Since our first buy is 15, so we'll put 1 there. 1 times 15 will still give us 15. So the robot will use 15 to buy the first margin call. 1 times 15 again for the second margin. The third margin will be 1. Now, who can tell me what will be the fourth? What will I put in this fourth one? Let me know if we are following. What will I put in this fourth one? Can anybody help us? Please, you can use the chat. What will I put in that fourth one? Use the chat. If you are following, what will I put in this fourth one now? We want the robot to buy with $10. So what will I put in this fourth margin call? Someone says 0.66. Is it correct? Do we have another answer? Okay, so 0.66. Okay, so it's correct. DK Steven, you said 1. 1 is wrong. 1 is wrong because 1 times 15 will give us 15. We want 10. So we are looking for what are we going to put there that if you multiply by 15, we'll get 10. So it's 0.66 times 15. It will give us 9.9. So it's 0.66. So 0.66 0, since we are using the same thing for margin 4, margin 5, margin 6. So it's just it's simple to understand. What will you put inside here that when the robot wants to buy the core, when they multiply it by your first buy amount, that is the money they will go and use. So if you say you want your fourth margin to be $10, fifth margin to be $10, sixth margin to be $10. So you will put something that when they multiply by 15, which is your first buy amount, it will give you 10. So it's 0.66. Okay, so that is to explain the right hand side of the margin configuration. To explain the left side is simple. The default, sometimes if you are using margin code that is lower than 5, maybe you don't have capital and your margin call is not higher, is not plenty, just go with default 3.5 for the first drop, 4% for the second drop, 4.5 for the third drop, 5.2 for the fourth drop. You can just make, because this other one is big, you can just make the rest 5% drop. Okay, so you can just make it like this. So please, this is for margin configuration. Let's know if we have questions on this. You can unmute yourself if you have question. So do we have question? Explain the right hand side again. The right hand, the right, left, right. Okay. The right hand side is, your capital is $100 for this example, and you are using 15 as your first buy amount. The remaining 85, you have to arrange it. You understand? That is how we said, okay, out of the 85, I want the robot to buy my first 3 margins with $15. So if you remove 15, 15, 15 from 85, you will be left with $40. $40 now, we now say, okay, let the robot use 10, 10, 10 to buy the last. So 10 into 40 will get 4. That was how we got the margin call limit, which is 7. We are using 7 margin calls. Okay. And I said anything you put here, for instance, if you put 2, it will be 2 times 15, which is your first buy. First buy is 15. 2 times 15 is 30. We are going to put anything, and what we are going to put here will be what if when we multiply by first buy amount, we should get the amount we want the robot to use to buy this margin. Now we have already said it that, okay, out of the 85, we want the robot to buy our first 3 margins with $15. So that is why we put 1, 1, 1. So when the robot do 1 times 15, the robot will get 15. This times is your normal multiplication table. 1 times 15, which is 15. So now for the robot to get 10, 10, 10, so that it can use $10 to buy margin 4, margin 5, margin 6, margin 7. That's why we did divided by 15. It now gave us 0.66. That is why we put 0.6, because if you do 0.66 times 15, which is our first buy, you are going to get 9.9, which is almost $10. So that is how we got this. So please, if you question, if this thing is not clear, okay, sir, how did you get 0.66 for 5.5? And which one is 5.5? So how did you get 0.66 for 5.5? Okay, I will get to you, but let me, Chigozie, please. What is for 5.5? Please, can you see my screen? We said from margin 4, margin 5, margin 6, margin 7, we want the robot to use $10 to buy. That was how we did. We got 0.66 because 0.66 times 15, which is our first buy, will give us $10. So that we got 0. Chigozie, Joe, I don't know if you're okay with that explanation, because I don't understand what you mean by 5 point. What here is 5.2555. So there's no 5.5 here. But it's because of we want the robot to use $10 when it gets to margin 4, $10 when it gets to margin 5, another $10 when it gets to margins. That is why we use 0.66. So 0.66 times 15, which is our first buy amount. This first buy amount will give us $10. Okay? Okay. I've explained now 5.2. That is the margin. That is margin 5. We said that we want the robot to buy from margin 4. Margin 4, margin 5, margin 6, margin 7. The fourth margin, you should use $10 because we want to share $40 that is remaining among them. So it's 10, 10, 10, 10. So we got 0.66 from 10 divided by 15. Because we want to get a number that if it times it by 15, you will get $10. Because we want the robots to use $10 to buy each one. Okay, so I believe you're okay now, Chigozie. Okay, okay, thank you. Explain the percentage again. The percentage it's you can use depending on your capital, and it depends on the coin, the movement of the coin. The percentage side in the spot trading is determined by your capital. How many margin calls can your capital take? If your capital is like 500, you want to use to trade one coin. You know that your margin, even if you use 50 as your first buy amount, the remaining 450, you can even spread this $15 into 450. How many margin calls we go for in 15 into 450? So you see, you have 30 margin calls. So when you have 30 margin calls, you don't need to start using 3.5, 4, 5.2, 5. You don't need to use that high range. You understand? Since your margin call is plenty, you can be using 2% drop. So I don't know if you are getting it. That percentage is depending on how many margins your capital can cover. Some people can say, okay, I am trading with 1,000. I want to trade 1,000. They can have 80 margin calls. So you don't expect someone that is having 80 margin calls to be setting 3.5 as his first drop percentage, or 4% as his second drop. That person can set his drop to be 1,111% for the 80. I hope you are getting it. Now, that one is based on capital. Now, based on coin, there are some coins that hardly drops. If you want to trade a coin like Bitcoin now that hardly drops like that, you will not start going and be using 5% drop. Before Bitcoin will drop 5%, drop another 5%, drop another 5%, it might take months or weeks before you see Bitcoin will just drop like 20%. But there are some coins that in a space of 2 minutes, 5 minutes, they can drop by 30%. So when you want to trade of coin, you know that yes, your margin cost, even if your margin cost is 7, you can use that 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5.2, 5.55. So you see that 7 margin cost self has covered more than 30 something percent. But if you cannot say because of your trading, your margin cost is 7, you want to now use 1% drop, it will not help you. You will run out of margin cost very fast. Once the coin just drops small, you will run out of coins very fast. Please, I'm coming. Oh, like a signal drop. Oh, short. SKU. Please, just pardon me. Yeah. Let me go and enter this signal. I don't know. Hey, it's just because I'm wasting time like this. So we are done for sport. Oh, want to enter features. So you can see signal have come. So let me just show you how we do it. The signal is for short. Okay, so you see. So I will click on create short. I don't know if I've set. Hey, I've not set this coin. Normally, I'm supposed to set it. Hmm? I'm supposed to set it before this. Okay. I've wasted time. Waiting for subplayers mode. Margin call limit 3. So I'm using 30. 30 times 5 is 150. So I'm going to explain this step now. Let me just enter the signal first. 150. Okay. So after I set it, I must confirm the chart again. Okay. So I can now set it. So see, the signal is short. Let me confirm that it's short. Short. Okay. So I've entered it. So sorry, I just wanted to enter the signal sharp. Let's see. It's a future trading, so I don't need to waste time. I just want to convert the trigger price. My own is 0.275. The signal said say at 0.782. 0.782. So I'm going to reduce my take profit. Let me use 1.5. So I entered it late, so that is why. So my signal is 27. My take profit is 2770. I said 27. So my own we said before the signal. So that is how we enter features, but we are coming to that now. That is what we want. So is there any question? Okay, so someone said, Emmanuel said, please, I heard in RoyalQ we make money. If coin is dropping, how please? Okay, okay. Leader Ocean have answered it. Like I said, when I was explaining margin calls or being, I said if it buys your margin calls from the fifth and above, the robot sell them individually if your strategy mode is on sub real-time settlement. So coins are going down and you have capital to buy the margin calls. Remember, if you cover the drop, if you have enough margin calls to cover the drop, you understand? That is when you make profits from those margin, when the robot starts selling them individually. Okay, so do we have any other question on the sports trade settings? because we want to enter features now. Do you have any do you have any question on the spot? Do you have any more question on the spot? So if you are following, please let me type 2 on the chat. So let me proceed to features. If you are following, type 2 on the chat so that I can proceed to features if we are done with sports. Okay. Okay. So we did our features introduction. We have the recording on our YouTube channel, Team Digital Gold. So if you're interested, it's highly recommended that you go through that Zoom video. So you watch it. We did introduction about what is features. Okay, I think we have done 2 Zooms on it, and they are helpful. Okay, so how to enter a features trade? First things first is for you to go to your Binance. We have the videos. Normally, you're supposed to set up all the coins there. You're supposed to change them to the margins to isolated mode. You understand? So I've changed all my own. So that is why I can comfortably, and just if I see signal, I will just enter it. You understand? That is why I can comfortably enter signals. You understand? Once I see them, because I've changed all these coins in my Binance. So that is the first thing you're supposed to do them before you start trading. Okay. So how to trade the futures? I saw the signal. I came to my RoyalQ and I searched for the name of the coin. Okay. For instance, Sun. Okay. So we are going to talk about trade set indicators tomorrow. Please don't fail to attend. Tomorrow class will be very, very interesting. So you can see in features, we have the long and the short. Please don't do mistake. If the signal is for long, you set for long, trade settings for long. If it's for short, you set for short. You understand? Please, no mistake. No mistake. Okay? Trade settings. Okay? Now, you can see there is a difference. There's difference between this and that. Two difference here. Number one, the first buying amount in futures trading is being calculated on, you are putting the amount of coin and you see the equivalence in USDT. Then the next one is the leverage multiples. In futures, we explained that futures works with leverage. You have access to leverage. In RoyalQ, the highest leverage is 20, but we advise in our team to use from 2 or 2 to 5. So you can either use 2 or use 3 or use 4 or use 5. May I use 5 to be on the safer side? Okay. So now you must have set your capital. We have different settings. Like we have settings for $30. We have settings for 50. You understand? So we can say, okay, let's just say for features, let's say you are starting features with $30. Okay, so we want to use 20, the remaining, I want to use 18. 6 plus 6, 12. Okay, let's say we use 18. Then the remaining 12 we'll use 2 margin, that is $6. Or we use 10 and we use 3 margin calls. So it's your call. Is that you want to use 18 first, you want to focus on your first buy and use 2 margin calls. So it will be C6. Okay, so let's use like this. So normally your signals for features is always one shot. Okay, so this one we say we should use 0.1. This one we can use 0.12 because features is sharp sharp. Once you see signal, you enter it immediately. Okay. So the next thing is the margin configuration. So let's see if we are following now. Let's see if we are following. We want the robot to use $6 to buy margin 1 and $6 to buy margin 2. What are we going to put in times? Please, if you know it on the chat. Actually, please, someone is answering for the features, our first features. I think it's on our YouTube channel. It's on our YouTube channel. If you search there, you see the features. Or if you are in our features group, it should be the last video on that. Okay. The group says 0.33. Okay, so let's do 0.33 times 18. Okay, so 0.33 here. So 0.33, 0.33. So because of we are just using 2 margins, we will not touch the drop. We'll leave it at 3.5 and 4% drop. Click on you must click on confirm. If you go back, it will save. If you just press this back, no. So when you finish setting here, you must click confirm. So this one features $30. So you click save. Now, when you want to call it for a settings, when you see a signal and you call, you see, I've called it. Remember, our first buy is, let me return this one to default. Maybe, let's say 50 was here before. Okay. So how to, once you set, the side here is telling you that you are setting for a long trade. Okay. So this setting is for a long trade. You have selected your settings now for $50, for $30 capital. Okay, this one will be whole warehouse move because of your margin call is just 2. Your margin call limit is just 2. So you have to use warehouse mode. Use sublime return settlements when your margin call is above 4, maybe from 5, 6, 7. That is when you use sublime real-time settlement. But once your margin, anytime your margin call is below 5, that is from 4, 3, 2, 1, you use whole warehouse mode. Okay. Now your first buy is 15. Your first buy is 18 in this example. But because of you are using 5 as a leverage, you will do 18 multiplied by 5. You will get 90. So this first buy, you must put the quantity here of the coin that will be equivalent to 90. Now you are starting with $18. It's $18 you are starting, but you are telling the exchange to lend you the remaining money. The remaining 90 minus 18 is how much? $72. So you're telling the robot, you're telling, not the robot, you're telling exchange, Binance, to borrow you $72. So total now will now be $72 Binance is giving you plus your $18, which will be 90. So you'll be increasing this number. You'll be seeing what is showing now is 24. 24. Let me take it to 120. It's 14. Let me take it to 250. 240. 220. Okay, 219, 218. So do we see it? It must not be above the 90. So you see 218 is equal to 89.8. So it's equivalent to 90. Then you will take the whole position take profit. You already know that one. You just set it. The main important thing is setting your leverage and your first buying amount. That is for future. You understand? So let's see if we have any questions here. Let's see if you have any questions here for the features. So tomorrow we also will be talking about the MACD, the indicators for both for sport and for features. So let's see if we have question on this. The first buying amount, how we got it. The leverage, we are advised to use either 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Don't go above 5. So let's see if we have question on the trade settings. Please, is there question? We are almost rounding up. So the class will be continued tomorrow. It will be continued tomorrow by 8:30. Please, tomorrow class will be very interesting because it boils down on if you'll be able to be taking trades yourself, or when you see a signal, if you'll be able to look at the chart and see, okay, this prediction is in line, so you can key in, because it's not all signals you will enter. There are some signals that will come like this. If I look at the chart, I will just leave it. You understand? So it's not all signals you should enter. So is there any question on the name of YouTube channel? Team Digital Gold. I don't know if you can drop our YouTube channel link on the chat.
I drop our meeting recordings every day. That's the YouTube channel.
Okay. So is there any other question generally? Because tomorrow we'll be looking at the indicators and doing the full complete entering of trade. But you saw me entering a live feature trade, and also I've explained the trade settings. If you have to start with $30, we have someone, he's not here. He started with $50 and he was trading spot. He was trading only features, and he has made more than $122, $122 in a space of, it's not up to 1 month since he started. I don't think he's up to 3 weeks, but he has made more than 100% of his capital. He's not the one getting the signals. So he just like as this signal drop now, that is how he will enter it and he will make profit. In a good day, we might get, depending on how the trades are selling, we might get more than five signals. Just imagine you are making $1 from each of the signal. That is $5 in a day. You understand? Depending on your capital. Some people make $10, $20, $30, $100 from just one trade because of their capital they are using. But we advise that you start small and master it. Master how to enter the trade faster. And before you even start trading futures, you must first go to your Binance and isolate the trades, the coins there, to change them to isolated before you can start trading them. Okay. Someone said, how do we have the signals for the futures trading? Yes, we have our group that we drop the signals. Yes, we have our group, we drop the signals. Yes, with $50. He started with $50. Yes, he started with $50 and he has made 122. in the space of 3 weeks, trading only the signals, the future signals. Okay, so someone say, what is the implication of the money borrowed from the exchange? The implication of the money, there's no implication. If your trade gets liquidated, your own $18 you use will be liquidated. Binance, they are the ones, they will also bear their own. It's just like Binance is. I don't think there's any implication on their own side. The implication for you. You understand? If you lose the money, you lose the money. Your 18. If you get liquidated, you get liquidated of your $18. You understand? But that leverage helps you that when you profit from the trade, your profit will be calculated based on $90. Remember, you only have 18. But when you profit from the trade, once the signal enters, your profit, your 2%, your 1% will be calculated based on 90 now, not 18. That is the difference between futures trading and sports trading. In futures, if you use $15 to start, it's $15 that they will calculate your 2% on. But in futures, in sports, the $15 you are using to start, you are buying the coin, you own the coin. You just wait for the price to increase. That is spot. In futures, you don't own any coin. You just make prediction that this coin will go down or it will go up. If it goes down, you get your 2% on all the money, both your own and the one they borrowed you. If it's $90, you set using 18 and Binance borrowed you 72. Your 2% will be calculated based on $90. So you see that your profit will increase. You understand? So that is it. I would like to join the group. You are making me want to risk future trading, but I don't get that. Hey, I say join the risk, take the risk and join the millionaires. Shada is how they said it. Life is a game of risks. Okay. I have done features on forex trading before. So using the AI robots, you will see difference because in the AI robot, we have the margin calls. The margin calls, when your robot starts buying the margin calls, your liquidation price will be going down. It will be extending. So that is another important. Why your liquidation price is extending, your average price, that is the price, your entry price will also be adjusting. So you see, margin calls will make you love trading futures. If you are a manual trader before, margin calls will make you love futures trading. Margin calls in RoyalQ will make you love futures trading because once your robot starts buying margin call, your liquidation price will be extending for you. So that is. So do we have any other question? Hello, do you have any other question? So please, tomorrow by 8:30, let's come early because we'll start immediately. It's a practical class. We'll be talking about indicators, the MACD Golden Cross, the Death Cross. We'll be explaining it tomorrow. And you need that to validate, to confirm any signals you'll be entering, whether you enter it or if you just wait for the next one so that you don't delay. Okay, so I don't know if any leader wants to say anything. But I want to appreciate everybody, leaders for coming and our members for attending. No knowledge is a waste, but try as you are getting the knowledge, you're applying it because practice make perfect. If you say you just want to be learning it without practicing it, you can't get it. It's just like driving. After all the theory, you have to practice. When you practice, that is when you will be perfecting the skills. So it's a skill you are coming to learn. You need practical. So try. In future sef is very sweet that you can even fund your Binance with $10 and be trading the futures. Yes, with $10 you can buy $10. You put $10 there, and your leverage is 5. 10 times 5 is $50. So that is what you use to enter. So that is it. So thank you once again. We'll see tomorrow by 8:30. Please don't come late.
There's a comment for you. Oh. You must see the comments before you end this meeting.
Okay, thank you, sir. Please, what's your name in case fire in case fire burn me when I join future to so that I can cry to you. Thanks for the beautiful. My name is Leader George, and fire also burned me when I started. At least when I started, I got liquidated because of greed. When I started, there was one trade rules I entered. That trade have been there for 2 days. The trade is still there. My liquidation price was down. I just that day before I slept, I just changed. Normally the signal came with 2%. So me, I was using sports now. I was using sports mentality. Before I slept that day, I was just frustrated because the trade has been there for 2 days. I now said, "Well, since I've waited, now let me increase the take profits to 5." The greed has entered. The signal said 2%. I now change it. I've waited 2% for 2 days. Oh. It did not sell. That futures trade was still running. And immediately I say, okay, let me change it to 5% that night. Around 1 a.m., I was sleeping. It's in the morning. When I woke up, I saw that I was liquidated. How much went for trade? I think it's $50. And I was not checking the chart, and I saw that trade hit the 2% first around midnight, 1 or 2 a.m. It hit that 2%. If I have been principled, following the instructions, set my 2% as the signal said and leave it, it was for a long trade. The signal was long. It increased to that 2% that midnight before it now fell down to my liquidation price and got me liquidated. So you see, following the instruction, following the signals the way it is, not being greedy, we keep you going in this trading with RoyalQ with the signals. So thank you. See you tomorrow by 8:30. You will not get bonds. That's why we say use a liquidation price that is lower. Use a leverage price that is lower, so your liquidation price will be extended longer, and set your margin calls, and you are good to go. You can always start with low amounts, so that you can start with $5, you can start with $10, 15, 20, and test it, practice, because it's only when you practice you'll be perfect. Thank you and good night. See you tomorrow by 8:30. God bless you.